Hey everyone, welcome to Agog House and our August community meetup. We're so glad to have you here. I'm Chip Giller. I'm the co-founder of Agog. And for those of you who don't know, Agog is a philanthropic organization whose mission is to support creators and nonprofits using XR to imagine and to build a better world. And as I said, we're thrilled to have you here. So these monthly plus, I guess I'd say, meetups bring together our growing community of builders and change makers and introduces thought leaders from across the XR and impact landscapes we really want to spark big ideas and forge new connections. So we couldn't be more happy today to have some industry giants with us. Liz and Michel, they're the curators and programmers of the Venice Immersive program at the Venice International Film Festival. They'll be joining us, and they're also immersive artists and producers in their own right. And we also have the incredibly talented, multi-award winning producer, director, and co-founder of Now Here Media, Gayatri, who will be moderating our discussion today. So we're just super thrilled about that. Just a word, after the chat on the stage, we'll all be hopping over to the Venice Immersive World for a sneak peek and a little tour and a mixer. So look forward to that. We'll just drop a portal here and we'll all head through that. But before bringing our guests out, I just wanted to give a few updates about Agog. This is actually a milestone event for us. This session marks year one. Of our very first meetup in Agog House. In fact, Liz and Michel were our first ever guests last year to introduce Venice Immersive. So it's really a full circle moment for us. We've grown a ton in that time, and we're excited to have you here. Some other quick updates. As always, a big thank you to Shushu and Nico, who I think are here, the creators who built this world under the guidance of Mike, Sam, and Mangelberg. So thanks you all for that. We wanted to share that a project that we've been involved with, Anagram's Impulse, Playing with Reality. It's been nominated for an Emmy, which is a really big deal. We're proud to have supported that project through our grant making. A couple other updates. Agog has partnered with Phi Immersive to support a 4-week residency in Montreal, Canada. And the open call for that residency received a record number of applicants. And Phi will be announcing the selected resident in just a couple of months. So please stay tuned for that. We will have a couple of folks at Venice for those of you who will be there. Our colleagues Jasmine and Mary will be there in Venice. So if any of you are going to be there, please look them up. And finally, I wanted to share that at the end of September, Agog will be headed to New York Climate Week. This is a gathering of folks from all over the world focused on climate change. So if you happen to have plans to be there, please let us know. You can connect with us on our Discord, which you can find at agog.org/Discord. So please check that out. And then leading up to Climate Week, our next community meetup will be occurring in Agog House on September 19th, where we'll explore awe as a tool for climate resilience. So awe as a tool for climate resilience. So that will be in conversation with some special guests, and we hope you can join us. And then very finally, because I keep saying finally, I just wanted to remind everyone here that we want to make this space, make Agog House, available to community members to host their own events. So if you'd like to host an event of your own here, please reach out to our community manager, Vanessa. Vanessa is the mushroom right over there after the session, and she can hook you up. So so thanks for hearing me out. Now I'd like to welcome onto the stage for the main show, Liz, Michel, and Gayatri to the stage. Come on out, you guys.
Thank you so much, Chip, for that introduction. And wow, all those updates. There's so much going on at Agog. Thank you so much for hosting this community event. It's an honor to to host and to moderate this panel together with Liz and Michel. Thanks for that opportunity. Without wasting too much time and diving right into the meat of it, Liz, maybe first to you. What can all of us expect from Venice 2025, Venice Immersive 2025? What will leave us all agog, let's say?
Hello, Gayatri, and hello, everyone. It's so great to see you all, so many familiar faces, and it's so wonderful that we're a year on, and Michel and I were here a year ago. I can't believe it passed so fast. To talk about this edition. So we're really excited this year because it's our biggest and boldest edition. We've got a huge number of projects, some really large-scale projects. It's a massive range and some themes that are sort of coming out that we can talk about. We're super excited, both with the in real life aspect of Venice, and also, of course, we have our Worlds Gallery, which we're going to show you a selection of when we go into the Venice World in a bit. But I think, what we're excited about is, this year, Michel and I particularly saw a sort of trend in really strong narrative and cinematic storytelling. And I think while the XR world was very concentrated on technology and interactivity and new tools and tech, we're really seeing this move towards engaging stories that are emotionally driven about important subjects. So that's something we were really happy to see in our selection.
Yeah, Michel, do you want to dive a little bit into some of the themes that are emerging, and how does it reflect what's happening in the world right now?
Yeah, of course, we can start by saying a word about AI and VR and immersive. Of course, we've seen quite a lot in our selection process. We've seen quite a lot of work driven by AI. What struck us is that there's definitely a trend towards a few pieces, a few projects that actually integrate AI and make it invisible to create a deeper emotional impact. Stories that do not feel like AI is driving them. And that compared to other projects where AI remains the center, a sort of display of what you can do with AI and how clever AI can be, those works now seem sort of too mechanical in a way. We're very happy to be able to show a few projects using AI, but hide it behind the emotional impact that it has. We also see definitely a trend towards works projects that help us empathize with either the people or causes or situations in the world where we can feel that we can be emotionally impacted by them, and where we can feel that we can connect with them. The projects that are dealing with diseases or illnesses, but also political situations and protest. One of the things that Liz and we feel strongly about is the fact that it's encouraging when we see work that do not necessarily abide by the moral codes that prevent work to be provocative. We're seeing more works that are stepping outside of the moral codes of the general audiences, general global audiences. We're seeing work that is more provocative, more bold, more daring in many ways.
Yeah.
And I think a really good example of that is actually a project Gayatri was involved in that's called Dark Rooms. And are you one of the co-directors of the project? Or
I'm one of the co-producers of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's by Mads Dambo. And it's an example of a project that's, it's a very intimate project about sexuality and identity that we rarely see in the space, because I think a lot of the projects that have been made, as you mentioned, when projects have been financed by big platforms, it's really difficult. In a way, they're kind of censored, whether it's politically or about anything that has any kind of sexuality or sex in it, or any flesh whatsoever. So it's a really beautiful project, a documentary project that we think is a perfect example of that. And I think what Michel was saying was there's a kind of seamlessness we're seeing now in storytelling, whereas I think people were using tools in the past to sort of demonstrate interactivity, and there was a kind of disconnect sometimes with narrative and emotion and narrative and interactivity. And now things like AI, the way that we're seeing it being used in some of the projects is really seamless, and you're not sort of aware of the software. And instead of projects being more software driven, we're very conscious of choosing things that engage as opposed to seeing the tools.
Yeah, I think that's
I would add to what something that was mentioning, the fact that one of our missions right from the start with Venice Immersive being a competitive section of an A-list film festival was always to build bridges between the world of cinema and the world of immersive. And this, to have a director like Doug Lyman, for instance, or Alex Berger, coming to premiere their very first immersive experiences is a sign of the distance between Hollywood and the world of film becoming smaller with the world of immersive. And we are very, I mean, two projects, Asteroids and Submerged, are the two projects done by these famous and prestigious Hollywood filmmakers. And we love to see this happen now.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think over the years, I've been to Venice many, many times and seen so many editions of what's been exhibited at Venice. And I do find the selection and the curation to be one of the boldest and one of the most boundary pushing when it comes to immersive curation. And, about pushing boundaries. And I love how this conversation is going. So please feel free to, for whoever, to take this conversation, like to answer this question and then bounce it between yourselves back and forth. What has, how has the definition of immersive evolved over, since the first edition to where we are at now?
It's a very good question, the immersive word. So I think most of the work that we have shown to date has been in headset. And we're showing work that is across so many different genres and so many different forms within headset. But we also have started to see work that's we will select that's not in headsets, that has an immersive quality, kind of spatial experience that has something to do with screens, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in headsets. So that's something, virtual reality, it used to be called Venice VR, and then we moved to Venice VR Expanded, and that was during the pandemic. And now we changed to Venice Immersive. I think it was in 2022. And so we're really open to what that means. So, for example, this year in our out of headset, the projects that are not in headset, there's a beautiful project called Heartbeat, which is a French project, and it connects to people's heartbeat, and it's just that intimate experience.
That's beautiful.
It's very simple, an intimate experience that connects us as human beings. There's another project called Constantinopoliad. I'm so pleased I pronounced it. It's about the first time I've been able to do that in public. But a beautiful project by Sister Sylvester, who had a project, Shadow Time, a couple of years ago in Venice. It's a collective reading experience where you read this incredible sculptural book together, where you discover parts hidden in the book that's told over about an hour, and there's beautiful program light and projections around it. So it's our kind of lowest fi project. Another project that's in our outer competition section, Lily, which is a reworking of Macbeth that's set in Iran. That's about surveillance and about the society there, but it's a really clever reworking of the Macbeth story that is kind of more of it's on screens, but it's kind of very immersive in terms of the way you enter the space. So those are examples of things that we're that are not in headset. But we also have many projects that blend, real life, the physical and the virtual. So this year there's a big emphasis on performance and particularly dance projects. Wouldn't you say, Michel?
Yes, yes. I would like to go back, and I completely agree. There's a very wide range of ways to show what we think immersive is. But I'd like to answer your question very quickly from another angle, which by listening to questions, what you're saying is, I think I realized that approach to defining what fits in our selection is no longer based on the technology that is used. And I think it's a tribute to how mature and more experienced and more sophisticated artists who are working in the immersive field have become, because it's the impact of a story, the way we remember it, the way we experience it is what truly counts. Whether it's in a headset, whether it's a projection, whether it is, like Liz was just saying, more analog in the way the experience unfolds, what really counts is the experience and the feeling of that experience itself and what you get out of it. So that now we've left the age of fascination for the technologies that are used, and we're entering the age of using whatever technology is available, to use it as a tool to tell impactful stories. So to us, as we do the selection for we've seen probably around 400, counting the world's experiences, to select in total 69, because we have 30 projects in the competition, 11 in the best of out of competition section, 5 in the college section, and 23 in the world gallery. So out of those 400. So really, I think what defines the criteria of our choice is the immersiveness of the experience itself, regardless of the technology used.
That makes a lot of sense. And that's also reflected, I think, by the world of the creators, what creators are making as well, which is what inspires, both of you, I'm sure, like, looking at what's happening in the creators' worlds and what they create as well. And you touched upon the curation process, and I think that's a really interesting one. You said you've been viewing 400 works. So what does the day of a day look like when you are going through all these works? Like, are there intense discussions that you're having in the evening? What kind of discussions are these? How do you end up making the decisions that you make? And how long does it take?
Well, we spend a month together in Venice, and it's a really beautiful time of the year. We have an amazing team, Giacomo and his and 3 other members of his team, who help us view the projects. And it's a really complex process that they do an incredible job setting up for us, because we're watching things that are works in progress, that are all different formats. And Michel and I literally spend from about 9:30 in the morning till 7 at night in headset. And then we do some world hopping with Mike, because Mike does our long list of projects over the year. And we go for about 100 worlds with him. So it's really intense. And Michel and I, of course, it's really good as curators to not always agree about projects. And so the discussions are super interesting because it reminds you when there's something you don't necessarily agree on, it's a really wonderful process actually having to explain and justify to another person and discuss your differences and why you believe in something. And it's those moments sometimes that are the most interesting, I think, our time of curation.
Absolutely. We usually, the way it works is that we watch a project, the two of us at the same time or one after the other. Then we discuss it together. We have a whole color code system with post-its, and we write, we summarize our opinion on the project based on discussion. We stick it on a big table. So we have a mosaic like this of stickers with colors, and that serves as a reminder. And then at the end of the day, we go back and we talk about everything we've seen. Some projects are we fully agree, we're on the same page, and some it's more the few we can fully disagree, and then that's when, like Liz said, we have the most interesting discussions. And through the months that we spent in Venice, looking at everything, we through the days we go back to our notes and we take out and we put in more, and we progressively work a short list so that in the very last days we look at our short list of maybe, I don't know, 50 projects, and out of these 50 we need to make our selection for the competition of third.
But it's really nice because we're building it up with this mosaic every day. And the other thing is we code each of the post-its. So if something's a single player, that sounds very basic, or multiplayer, or what kind of genre it is, or where the project comes from, who directed it. So there's a whole coding system as well. So we're sort of like, as we're watching projects, we're getting an idea of what the selection could be and making sure that it is as representative and inclusive as possible at the same time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's important to remember that the work curating a festival is really not at all limited to I like this, I don't like that. It's really not like this. We try and see through the projects, understand where it's being, the context within which it's been done, the relevance of the work given its historical, geographical, or cultural context. And we also see this as part of our mission as curators, is to represent the widest range possible of approaches to immersive experiences.
And so it's really interesting. Of course, whenever we experience any type of art or media, you have a personal, subjective engagement with the piece. But I think as curators, we feel our responsibility in Venice Immersive is to, of course, we engage and we love things personally, is to sometimes step outside of that and see it as a responsibility to represent that breadth and that spectrum.
Yeah, and it definitely comes through in the curation. Thanks for sharing that process and being transparent in this community space. I think it's really interesting to get insights into, when a lot of creators perhaps also in this room might be making applications to multiple festivals. So it's really interesting and important to know what that process of curation looks like. I want to open up to audience members here, community members who might have a question, and we are going to, perhaps just either raise your hand or emote, and we can get you or get your questions to Liz and Michel. And meanwhile, maybe as you are preparing to, Vanessa, do you have a question? So the question was, is there a toolkit or something similar that might be available to creators after Venice, depending, I think, based on lessons from Venice or what has been shown at Venice? Am I getting it right, Vanessa?
Yeah, sorry, I have a microphone now. So the question is Venice, providing any tools for those creators? Exactly. And to help as they continue building their art form.
Well, I think one of the things about Venice is the Biennale has a college program, and there's a Biennale immersive college, which actually the submission, Michel, it's already passed. But that's one of the things that Biennale does in terms of skills development and developing creative practice. But in terms of the actual, and Michel can speak more to that, but in terms of what's happened in Venice, I would say one of the most important resources is looking at some of the people who report on Venice, and one of them, of course, is Kent By, who he interviews every single person who's been selected in the official selection. So his resource is kind of amazing, and it's for all festivals. But for ours, obviously, we have a huge selection of 69 works, and he will interview all of those projects, apart from maybe some of the world's creators in the best of worlds. But and he has extensive interviews about the making of those projects. Another resource that was something that was a result of the last two Venices was a think tank that we held around distribution and exhibition. Unfortunately, we don't have the bandwidth this year to do this because our program is so extensive. We've been very taken up with that. But the two think tanks had two reports that were written, and they were conversations held under Chatham House rules, which is that people can freely speak around they can openly speak, but then what they say is non-attributed to them. So we found that because a lot of people have sensitive things to talk about that can be business or finance related, that it's very good to do a think tank under this kind of format, because people share a lot more. So there are two reports around the state of distribution and exhibition. Last year's were particularly around venue-based distribution. So those are two resources. But in terms of toolkits that follow the festival, there isn't anything that we have the resources to do as a festival. Apart from, I would say, the website also, if you look on the pages of each of the projects, they also have making of videos on them. So you can have a look at a lot of those. We asked the creators to talk about the background behind their projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think other things that we don't write a manual, on how to make a good immersive experience, just because we're still as a community and as makers, we're still in that moment where there is no such thing as a methodology, to make a good project. We're inventing, and we all know we're inventing the vocabulary, the grammar of our language as we speak it. So it's still too early to we could write something about this. The best in the college that Liz mentioned, the best way we find to help makers of an immersive project who come for our workshops, who are selected every year. We select 12 of these projects. We find that the best way to help the projects is to show them as much as possible of the experiences that we have programmed. So we have a very big library of the projects we've shown at Venice Immersive, and we make sure that everyone watches probably around between 30 and 50 of these projects during the workshops. And we find that it's by seeing as much as possible that the understanding of what works for them in connection with the project they're working on, that's the best way to understand this, by viewing and participating. This is why, for the moment, the privilege of being able to come to Venice and to experience the selection and the project is the best way to actually understand for yourself what works.
Yeah, and definitely, Michel, I completely agree with you that we are writing the grammar and the rules of this medium, or of these multiple mediums, all at the same time, and that's what makes it so exciting to work in this space, at least for me as a creator, as well. Anybody here in the audience who has a question? There's Belumo.
Lumo.
Yeah, You can call me Belu. Yeah. Do I need a microphone to let everyone hear me,
We
or
can
everyone
hear
can?
you.
We can hear you.
Cool. Nice. Nice. So, hi, Michelle, Liz. So my question will be, for the work selected in Venice, like to what extent the festival can support artists to fully, set up their vision in the festival. It's just like I've heard about some artists having really frustrating experiences in some other festivals, where like they were promised to have the support to set up their project, but kind of they didn't get, like, they are kind of eventually the festival are not able to do like what they promised, and so like things like that seems to also happen like at different places. So I wonder, like, how do Venice Immersive help with artists in actually setting up their work for public audiences?
You are right. Producing an installation, for instance, is a lot of work, and it costs a lot of money. What we do in Venice, I can't speak for other festivals, but we try and be very clear from the start, is that if your work is a standalone, basically we cover everything. We provide everything. You don't have anything to worry about. If you have an installation, meaning that you have a set, props, you need maybe performers, you need constructing a special space, that is costly. Um, at Venice Immersive, we provide the basic construction. We provide access to power, basically, but everything else is the cost of the artist, and it's the same everywhere. So there is definitely a cost attached to being selected in a festival, and to being selected in Venice Immersive. There is a significant cost attached to being present in a festival like this, and it can cost a lot of money, because everything is basically at your cost. We provide some hotel nights. We not pay for transportation, and whatever that you need to produce for your installation is also your cost. We provide docents who run the show in the sense they're the interface between the public and the project, where they will inform the audience, they will check on the tickets and all of that, the interface with the audience. But yes, being in a festival can be very costly if you have a very installation, definitely. But we,
Yes.
but we,
Thank you so much.
and we help them, organize and all the logistics.
But I think what the thing we're very, very clear in the start about, actually before with the regulations for submission, that if you, as Michelle said, have a standalone project, this is something that we will cover. But if you don't, we're very, very clear about what's covered. And I think, obviously, when people are in development with their project, they are trying to finish it, and they sometimes don't take in the huge cost of coming to a festival. And we do try and help as much as possible. With like Michelle said, it's very beautiful, the island, and the Biennale puts an incredible resource into actually building the island, because it's built like a beautiful exhibition, and which is very rare, and we're very lucky that we have the support of the Biennale to do that. And there's internet. We have a great team that helps as much as possible, but it is the actual cost of running the installation that we understand. And Michelle and I have often, we write letters of support to artists. And if you're lucky enough to be in a place where you have national subsidy or a foundation that will help you, then that's good. But it's really unfortunate for those who don't. And we wish there were better resources for that. But it's something, unfortunately, that Biennale doesn't have more resource to help with beyond what we do.
And to pick up on this, to answer the question that Vanessa read from YouTube, one of the main conclusions that we had with the think tanks last year and the year before that Liz mentioned is, I think, a very good piece of advice to all of you who, if you are makers and working on a project, do not forget that the level of complexity of the set, of the props, the installation you're going to be working on, that complexity is going to impact very directly your possibility to be distributed, to be shown, to be in festivals, but also in venues. The more complex your needs are for physical setup in terms of volume of things you need to transport, in terms of days of setting up, in terms of manpower that you need, staff that you need to build and operate your installation, the heavier all of this is, the less you will be able to tour your piece. So one of our advice, and this is answering the YouTube question, one of our advice or conclusion, and everybody agreed on this, is think of the logistics of distribution from the very moment you start designing your project. You will be happy you do that if when the time comes, you're ready to be invited by festivals and start being shown in different institutions, places, or LE, you'll be very happy that you minimized or rationalized your logistics for your distribution. The problem comes when this has not been thought about beforehand, and then all of a sudden you realize you need a full container to be shipped from Taiwan, from Canada, or from the other side of Europe, and it costs an absolute fortune. So this is something that you really need to think about right from the start.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much, Michel, for that, and thank you, Liz, as well, for sharing everything over here with all of us. We want to keep the engagement. We want to hop over now to the Venice VR, the worlds, and I encourage all of you to also chat more informally with Liz and Michel as we go through this tour.
So this is a world that was made by Deep Online, who is a member of the Metaverse crew, which is a group of the noisy folks that are in here at the moment. And so this has been built as a way for us to be able to share the selection with the VRChat community. Venice Festival is very much about the experience on the island, but we want to be able to share that experience with the community. So what we do is we create this space which VRChat support in the menu, which we're very grateful for. And this is a way we basically include a bunch of portals to the worlds that are in the selection, or as I should say, most of the worlds that are in the selection. Some of them are like performance pieces that can only be seen in world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few of the little bits around here, and then we'll stop for a bit of a chat. So we are going to wander through this way. And what I'd like to do is get a group photo, if that's okay. Now, given that you're a pro, would you be okay doing the photo?
Yeah, of course I can.
With the camera.
Yeah, let's do it.
Amazing.
Yeah, of course,
so
always.
What we're going to do is we're going to gather on this red carpet here, so we can get the nice canal view and the logo behind. So if we could just all line up here.
It's so close to the real thing. That's awesome.
I know, it's so cool.
It's so close.
Flying.
Am I a small mushroom or a big mushroom right now?
Can I grab your ear in the photo? Can I grab your ear in the photo?
You can if you like.
Usual avatar.
All right. So everyone face Poe.
Wait, it wasn't performing very well, so that's what I changed.
We've got the laurel in the background.
Camera went. No, I can't move, and I'm stuck behind you.
That's better.
Do you want to go there?
Yeah, my camera. No, I had a drone camera, and then you can't move when you.
And, all right.
No, it's okay.
So when Poe.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we're ready. All right. Everyone, look at the banner ahead of you. That's where the camera is.
Nice.
Venice!
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 Wow.
Wow, so cool.
Right, so be careful of the portals. Don't touch the portals, otherwise we will lose you. Right, so this is like if you're on quest, you might see a bunch of red arrows and things.
Yes, I see them.
That's because those worlds are PC only, and it just means that you can't access them on a quest. So you will see that for a lot of the time, a vast portion of the worlds that we select in the selection are PC only. We don't really have any sort of we select worlds based on how good they are, not based on whether they are Quest or PC compatible. So, but more and more people are making good Quest compatible worlds, so we add them. So these are the portals to all of the worlds that are part of the selection this year. And in the corner, just over this way, we have portals to all the previous editions. So if any time you fancied having a look back and a bit of a reminisce about what was in different festivals over the years, then you can come here and check out the most of the editions that we did. There is one early version of the world that we did in 2020 that unfortunately isn't here, but most of them are. Yeah. And so cool. Actually. And there were a few editions here where the whole of the Venice experience was held inside VRChat because of COVID, and so those were pretty insane events because they had a lot of people who'd never used VRChat before experimenting for the first time, which is super exciting always.
Wow, this is so beautiful. It feels so nostalgic. I was in all of them. Also, it's so good. Virtually.
And so the way that I mean, it's emotional, watching this and thinking, well, we've already been doing this for 4 years. This is our 5th year with the Worlds Gallery. It goes really fast.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
So fantastic.
And so the Worlds Gallery has definitely evolved a lot over the years, and so the way that the selection process for the Worlds Gallery works. So obviously, we have anyone can enter the competition if they want to, like any other piece of immersive work. But then we also have a very large best of selection, and so like Michel and Liz were talking about earlier. I spend far too much time in VRChat over the course of the year, and I put a very geeky spreadsheet together of all the worlds that I'm visiting and which ones I think Liz and Michel might want to see. So my spreadsheet this year had over 700 worlds on it. And then I shrink that down to like between 80 and 100 for Liz and Michel to see, and then like most days. Would you mind muting your mic? You're feeding back a little bit. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. So yes, we go on world hops over the course of the selection process, and then Liz and Michel ultimately decide what's going to be selected in the festival.
Wonderful.
Okay.
It's worth saying, Mike, that I mean the work that you do then, once we have selected the world that are making the Worlds Gallery, you have the responsibility to design the world hops, hire the guides for the world hops, train them, take them there, make them be familiar with the world, train the docents who will be on the island with you the whole time, and making sure that those docents are sometimes, for most of the people, the first contact they have with VRChat. So there's a whole occasional dimension that is very important.
That is a very interesting couple of days training to the docents, the people that are there at the headsets, helping people get in and understand what they need to do when they get into their headset. And many of them have never done VR before, and then they have to go from never having done VR to being a VRChat ninja in 2 days. So that's a very that's a fun bit of work. But the way that we present the worlds in Venice is very important, because what we try and do is have a very true to VRChat experience. So we have world hops. So we'll take sometimes it's one world, sometimes it's 4, depending on how big it is. This year's the first time where we've had to split a world over 2 separate world hops, because we've got Dr. Morrow's ritual, so we've got 2 45-minute slots to try and get through all 5 chapters of that, and that's difficult. But what we do is we hire people from the VRChat community who don't just understand the platform, but live and breathe the culture, so that when folks from the guests at Venice are doing the tours, they don't just get a guided tour of what things look like. They get to chat about like full body tracking, or what it's like going raving in VRChat, like how people have like met their partners or come out, or all of the things, all the amazing, wonderful things that happen in VRChat. That becomes part of those tours that we do. So it's quite a magical thing. We have lots of people who, in the what I impishly refer to as the traditional VR part of the festival, come to VRChat and are really surprised by just how amazing the experiences that are being made on this platform really are.
I also just want to jump in and say, I think, your ability to make people feel welcome in this space, as somebody who's super new to all of this, you've made me feel so welcome. And I think that's back to what Michel was saying. I think it's just a huge value to the community. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, you can't see on my avatar, but I'm blushing. Cool. Does anyone have any questions? Otherwise, feel free to jump in a portal and have a look around.
I think I know
this world is this 82nd edition of Venice Immersive World public now?
No, it's not. No,
the world we're in, not yet, right?
Oh, it opens on the 27th.
When will
August. When we open, isn't it?
On the 27th, right? But right now, okay.
No, you can't favorite it. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, because it's not.
Not
it hasn't
yet.
been public. It's
not yet. Not yet.
But it will be on the
soon.
27th of August.
I mean, I just wanted to piggyback on what Mike was just saying. Liz and I each year are really in shock and impressed with the diversity and the creativity that we see in VRChat. It's unbelievable to see how individuals, with the help of the VRChat community, but still individuals, build worlds in such a short time. But the complexity, the richness, the vastness, the imagination that goes into these worlds is just mind-blowing. And each time, thanks to Mike, who produces this short list, get a glimpse into how the VRChat community is evolving and is producing the most impressive worlds and experiences. This is something we feel is one of the most exciting discoveries each year is what happens in VRChat and how much it's growing.
And we really feel that the work and the projects that are here almost like represent the most sophisticated kind of social VR we see. And it's like you people are inventing this language really of being together in virtual spaces. And what we see here is some of the most exciting and innovative work, because I think a lot of people are in this environment are native. It's their kind of art form. And so really you're inventing the language, I think, of what it means to be together in virtual worlds.
Couldn't agree more.
I have a question. So earlier you kind of branching off of appreciating the art that artists create here on VRChat. You guys mentioned that there was a spreadsheet of every single world that you guys have been to. I was wondering if you guys are also logging the names of the creators as well, so you guys could maybe give them some form of accreditation or some form of like, we were inspired by these people, because a lot of creators on VRChat that I know personally, they tend to struggle a lot with kind of getting their name out there and being appreciated for their work. And I feel as though it would be immensely beneficial for them if they had some kind of recognition, whether it be official or unofficial.
Yeah, absolutely. So a world that is part of the Venice selection is treated like any other piece that is, you were talking, Liz was talking about there being, like Hollywood A-list directors who have got pieces in the selection this year. The folks who have worlds are treated in exactly the same way. So there's a massive catalogue that comes out as part of the selection, and they're all featured in that catalogue. They're all on the website in exactly the same way as every other piece in the selection. And when we do the tours, we act, I as part of the information that I get from the creators, I always ask them to give us some information about them and about like how they came to VRChat, and that ends up being part of the tour guide speaking notes. So when we're going around the tours, if they share that information, not everyone does, but if people share that information, then that becomes part of what the tour guides talk about when they're on the tour. So it is really important for us. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, what Mike's saying is, Doug Lyman, a Hollywood director who directed Asteroid, he's a director of Born Identity, has the world borders have the same recognition. They have a page in the catalogue, they have a website page in exactly the same way.
And can I add also that this year we do not have a world in the competition, but the previous years we had 1 or 2 worlds in the competition. And what that does is that if they are selected for an award by the jury, then they would get the brass lion, which is exactly the same trophy as the most prestigious films, cinema movies that are awarded with the golden and silver lion in Venice. So we treat projects, immersive projects, of which the worlds are a part, exactly at the same level as the biggest studio films. And I think Venice is still today the only festival that does that.
And Kira in 2020 did actually win an award. So Finding Pandora X was a piece of immersive theatre inside VRChat, and they won one of the main awards. So like Michel said, they would share a stage with the best film, the best actor, all of those things. So yeah, we're all about representing the people that are making the work.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for asking or answering. Sorry. My apologies.
Okay. All right. Well, I know it's really late for Liz and Michelle. Thank you so much for staying on. And yeah, so Mike, folks can explore. They want.
Any of you coming to Venice? Are you planning to be with us on the island at some point?
Yes.
Yeah? Great.
Excited.
Indeed.
Yes.
Totally stoked.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Wonderful.
Great. We're looking forward to seeing you in real life. And thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. It was great to see you.
For those of you who are coming, take raincoats. It's raining in Venice.
We had the biggest storm they've had for forever. It was like flooding today.
This morning. Yeah, there's floods everywhere.
Oh, no. I had to wait 4 hours to get out of my apartment block because it was all flooded. I had to wait for the water to subside. But it's okay. The island is absolutely fine, apparently. It's dry.
Yeah.
So
just a raincoat. Do we need wellies?
Yeah. You can know it's best to buy these special plastic covers in Venice that you just put over your shoes. Yeah.
Mike, what are wellies? What are wellies?
Wellington boots.
Rubber
They are
boots.
like rubber boots.
Thank
Galoshes.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Galoshes are actually, Mike, I'm going to be pedantic about the galoshes. The galoshes are longer than Wellingtons. You see, we're very good on rain. British people are good on
Bring something to protect the water.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
All right.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you.
Bye.
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 Let's jump in the
Thank you.
portal.
Bye.
Why not?